to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome everybody to the glorious episode of the Put On Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSBR is my Twitter handle, and Ryan's is RHOLM22. I want to thank those who are watching and listening to the show in San Francisco, California, Carlsbad, California, Los Angeles, California, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Washington, D.C., Del Rio, I know you're watching. Los Gatos, California, British Columbia, New Zealand, Germany. Let's see here. We got Canada, Norway. We got North Carolina. We have Roseville, California. We got Temecula out there, hot as hell in Temecula. And then two more cities. We'll get Gentry, Arkansas, and Phoenix, Arizona are all watching and listening to this Put On Raiders podcast. So we thank you for that. Ryan, how are you?
I'm good. I got to watch a game and relax in the second half. It was over at halftime.
And not throw up in your mouth while you watch it. I can guarantee you the all 22 will be much will be more relaxing and more joyful. Sitting through that now. So I mean, the offensive side of the ball is where they really struggled under Josh McDaniels. But I think I liked the pace in which he pace that the plays were in and how they moved the football down the field. They spread the ball around. I think we had 8 different receivers catching the pass. Nobody had a huge game, but they spread the ball around. And finally, number 8, formerly number 28, got going, and they started running the football pretty well today.
Yeah, that's one thing that stood out is you didn't see any delay of games. You didn't see the clock getting down to 2-1 and then having to rush the ball. So the play calls got in, they got lined up. They were able to give the rookie quarterback O'Connell enough time to audible a couple of times. And then you saw some semblance of some wrinkles, which we haven't seen under Josh McDaniels, especially on the first drive when Myers came in motion and kind of set up there to be an inline blocker between the tight end and the tackle. And then they turned it into basically a jet sweep for a touchdown. So Nice wrinkle there on the opening drive. You saw a shot play after a turnover, just something you want to see. It wasn't completed, but they threw the ball down the field a couple of times. But the good thing here is the defense played really well. There was no real pressure on O'Connell throughout the game to lead some sort of comeback and force the ball down the field. So they ran the football. They were able to get the ball underneath, move the ball efficiently. And when the defense is pitching a shutout for most of the game, that's what you want when you have a rookie quarterback under center.
Not very many ho-hum victories for the Raiders in the last couple of years, but it was good to actually have one. He seemed very calm and control. The moment wasn't too big for the head coach Antonio Pierce. I think he just they really did a good job of really getting the team jacked up and ready to go. And that belief, and we'll talk about the Jake Lisher thing a little bit later, but just that belief that you can beat anybody. And this is how many times have we seen the Raiders the Giants are on a good team. Yeah, they don't have a good quarterback situation. Daniel Jones, hurt his knee and had to go leave the game. But, we've seen so many of these afterthought quarterbacks just tear up the Raiders. It was good to see that they went in there and they went in this game and 8 and they got 8 sacks on kind of an early Thanksgiving dinner for that defensive line.
Yeah, the key drive of the game was when they were up 7-0. They were able to go down and punch it in and take a 2-score lead. And at that point, the Giants kind of had to abandon the run. And then you saw 2 quick turnovers, another touchdown and a field goal, 24-0. And so the Giants couldn't really come out in the second half and try to run the football with Saquon Barkley. They had to force Tommy DeVito to throw the ball. There was no Darren Waller. There wasn't a lot of weapons outside. They took a couple of shot plays down the field early. Quarterback didn't connect with Hyatt. And then once that defensive line smelled the blood in the water, it was over. And then you kind of saw Patrick Graham just say, okay, and just unloaded the clip, and here they came. They started blitzing and bringing pressure, which is what we wanted them to do when you get into obvious passing downs. because it was clear Tommy DeVito wasn't going to beat them deep. So they started taking some chances, and then Tyree Wilson gets home. Then you saw Bilal Nichols get home for his first sack. Robert Spillane got home. Trayvon Merritt came off the edge. And then obviously you had Max Crosby had 3 sacks. So everyone was eating. They were taking turns. It was good to see the defensive line get after it.
And I think, and like we talked about it before, like this is like that, that blood in the water, Buddy Ryan situation. Like when you're playing a back quarterback, you just want to go ahead and just take care of this whole game. DeVito was 15, I think it was 15 for 20 for 175, one touchdown and in 2 INTs in the ball game. They still, let's see here, Barkley had 16 carries for 90 yards. Really, once DeVito came in the game, there wasn't really a threat. You'd have to like fall down 25 million times for them to come back in the game. It was good to see them that they just held the lead and they just finished the ball game. And I think that's like part of some of the biggest issues that the Raiders had last year were all those blown leads, that they couldn't just finish ball games. They were to finish this one out pretty easily.
Yeah, they got the 2 turnovers with the interceptions. They also had a lot of key stops in 4th down. There was 2 or 3 4th down stops, so those are basically turnovers. So there was 4 or 5 opportunities where the defense gave the ball back to the offense, and then when you're up 24-0, it was good to see them. I know a lot of people say you keep the foot on the pedal, on the gas, but you don't want to start turning the ball over and doing bad things when you're up 24-0 when the other team doesn't really have a quarterback that can threaten you. So the game plan was pretty simple at that point. Once they came out middle of the 3rd quarter and had a 27-0 lead, it was turn around, hand the ball off to Jacobs, turn around, hand the ball off to Zimmer White. Got some run in this game, some quick screens. A couple of them got blown up in the flat, but there was no need to do anything crazy at that point. So that's kind of what you like to see from the offense.
Well, what was your biggest takeaway from the flow of the offense that you like so much in this ball game?
I just think you saw O'Connell get to his reads pretty quickly. He looking at the all-22, maybe he got away from some stuff too quick, but when it wasn't there quickly, when Devontae was doubled in the first half, he got off of it quickly and found the open guy. Now there's some passes he probably wants back, but for the most part, he was fairly accurate. He spread the ball around, as you mentioned. It wasn't like he was just locked in. Okay, if Devontae's gone, I'm going to Myers. It was like, okay, here's Mayer, here's Myers. Let me get a couple to Renfro. Let me get a couple to Abdullah. Let me get one to Jacobs. So he was spreading the ball around, and Cooper got involved too. So, like you said, no one had a huge game, but he didn't throw the ball. There wasn't a lot of balls that he threw into double or triple coverage, which we've seen him do against the Chargers and against the Bears late. So get the ball out, didn't take any sacks. That was another thing. He held the ball way too long against the Chargers. And then I thought the offensive line held it up pretty well, but that defensive line for the Giants, obviously Leonard Williams isn't there anymore, but they still have Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, but those guys were getting beaten on because the Raiders had a lead and they could run the football. So they weren't able to pin their ears back and come after O'Connell like you saw the Raiders defense do to DeVito. Next week might be a different story when they're playing the Jets defensive line. We may see something totally different out of the way O'Connell plays, but I thought overall he played a pretty good game for a rookie that was handed the reins, and the pressure's on him now. But you saw the whole team step up. AJ Cole, I want to talk about AJ Cole. I looked at the box score and I had to do a double take. 64-yard average, that's an NFL record with a minimum of 4 punts in a game with a long of 69. I still remember the touchback that he kicked. You saw that. I think the returner was at like the 10-yard line and the ball went off the screen. You never even saw it land on TV. That ball he probably kicked it 80 yards because it went out of the end zone. But Daniel Carlson made the field goals when he needed to. Not a lot of penalties. I don't have the penalty numbers in front of me, but I think they had 3 or 4. They didn't have 8 to 10. So I just think they played loose. They played free. You saw the energy on the field, and it all came from taking Josh McDaniels off the sideline. You could totally tell all the pressure was off the players, and they just went out and had fun.
Yeah, and even this guy number 13 caught a couple passes here and there. I'm not sure who that player is. You mentioned Mike Tomlin, and everybody calm down. We are not saying, and Ryan's not saying in his tweet that Antonio Pierce isn't next to Mike Tomlin, but it's something to be said for the CEO head coach. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really feel like that sometimes gets overlooked when we look for head coaches. It's only one game. It's only one Sunday. Let's see how this whole thing plays out. He'll definitely if the energy and the play stays the way it is, he's definitely going to get in a big like an interview and maybe have a leg up on some of the candidates. But like when you put that tweet out about like kind of a comparison to Tomlin, what were the things that you kind of saw in him and Antonio Pierce that kind of led you to that one?
Just kind of how direct he was in his press conferences, and he's straight to the point. He's not going to give you long-winded answers. He's going to answer everything honestly. He's not trying to hide anything or misdirect the media. He's just going to tell you how it is, and I think the players respect that. And then obviously he is a former player that won a Super Bowl and is kind of the CEO head coach that overseeing everything. He's not focused on, what's the next defensive play call? What's the next offensive play call? Can I get the personnel in and off the field as if you were a head coach who's an offensive play caller? So he can sit back, watch what's going on, and manage the team.
Yeah.
And just kind of his demeanor and just kind of how, not really abrupt, but how, like I said, how short and direct he is. That's kind of how Tomlin is in his press conferences. So, like I said, I'm not predicting that he's going to win a Super Bowl. I'm not predicting that he's going to go 10 years without a losing record or anything like that. But Mike Tomlin, when he was hired by Pittsburgh, came from, I believe he was in Tampa as a secondary coach. So he wasn't a coordinator either when he got hired. So when you're going to, obviously, Tomlin's success is also tied into having a Hall of Fame quarterback for much of that run, and Ben Roethlisberger, which Antonio Pierce does not have at this point. But it's going to be interesting to see because he's always going to need to have a strong play caller on offense and then obviously have a good defense if you're not going to be directly involved and you don't have that Hall of Fame quarterback. But he's off to a pretty good start. I'm interested to see, and the good thing for Antonio Pierce in this game was there's really no pressure on him once they took the lead. Like, you didn't time management to become an issue. He didn't have to decide when to use timeouts, to go for it on fourth down or not. Those kind of decisions were taken out of this game. And those are things that he's going to have to show as the season moves on. Is can he make the right decisions as far as game management and make the right calls when they're needed in the fourth quarter in a close game. So hopefully we don't see that for a couple of weeks. Hopefully they can just go out there and keep winning games with a little comfortable lead.
21
I
nothing.
prefer that personally.
My heart does too.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's an A+ showing across the board from the entire coaching staff and everyone in that locker room today. 30-6. The Raiders don't win games by double digits, let alone 3.5 touchdowns.
Yeah, no question about it. The Raiders did and it was just fantastic to watch them actually really get this done on Sunday. Little plays here like Marcus Peters and you love to see him catch that interception, stuff like that. But there was something Amik does this once a year. Like this is like why does he do this once a year where he just I mean, even the PBU was a fantastic play. He was punching the ball out. He forced a fumble that the Giants ended up recovering. I mean, can we maybe get like a little package for him as a scat back? Because when he gets the ball in the open field, he looks actually really good. I know he's a former running back. You looked it up and you saw that as well. But he played well in this game. I thought the biggest thing for them defensively is like, yes, maybe they gave up an 8-yard gain. From like for whoever's running the football or like Robinson maybe caught a pass for them, but like the play kind of stopped there. It wasn't like this thing where like, I mean, Saquon Barkley had a big run in the game, but like it wasn't like consistent like chunk play where there's a bunch of missed tackles all day. I thought Bernie came in and he missed a sack. Bernie had an opportunity to get a sack on a blitz, so he was decent. He was decent in the game. I'm not looking for. I know this defensive unit does not have great players on it, but at least going into at least when I look at this game and we'll see how it looks on film. They just tackled and wrapped, and like the check downs weren't first downs.
Yeah, not a lot of missed tackles. Obviously, there's some plays where Bernie probably wants back. They didn't defend the run very well in this game. The good thing is when you go up 14-0 or 21-0, you don't have to stop the run at that point. So, it's going to be interesting when Breece Hall comes to town next week, and Dalvin Cook, because Breece Hall's a really good running back,
really good
in the passing game and also running the football. That hopefully they can get a lead early and make Zach Wilson have to try to beat them. But I really thought the defensive line set the tone. And once they were able to put their pin their ears back and go. Malcolm Kuntz got a sack. I know the quarterback had a bad knee and fell over, but he got there.
Hey, got that.
So when you're getting 4.5 sacks from your 3 edge players, that's pretty good. And then you saw Malik Reed get some run in the game as well. I really want to see what this defense looks like if you can get Divine Diablo back or Luke Masterson on the field. Jalen Smith looked pretty slow at times out there, but didn't do anything egregious. There wasn't no blown assignments where he gave up a big run or a big pass. So we'll see. It's next week is going to be the atmosphere. I'll be heading to Allegiant next week. I am planning on being there for that game. So we'll see what happens with the atmosphere and if they can carry over the momentum. This thing may look totally different when they play the Chiefs or the Dolphins, but for this week, we got to enjoy it. Enjoy the W.
Yeah, for the team part of it, like I just feel like it must have been like I mean, I don't want to really just belabor the point with Josh McDaniels, but this must have been a really hard work environment. Like, you hear about toxic work environments. I'm like you hear that phrase a lot more than you did back in the day. Like when my parents went to work, their bosses could tell them to do whatever, and there was no repercussions. But it just seems like this really, as the promo plays on my TV right now for Sunday Night Football next week, Jets and Raiders. It's really a situation where I don't know, like I don't know where this team is going to end up going after this win. Do these wins hurt the draft stuff? Like we can't even think about that right now because they're not thinking about it right now. If they got to make a move to move up to get a player, let them go ahead and do that. At the end of the day, like this, Champ Kelly has the opportunity to stay. Antonio Pierce has the opportunity to stay, and like I think right now, that's the only thing that they could be thinking about right now is winning as many games as possible.
You could hear it in the players' voices after the change was made, even after the game on Sunday. Josh Jacobs saying, "It's not my job to fix the offense. That's Josh's job. That's Josh McDaniels' job."
Yep.
Just what things that Devontae was saying, some of the quotes from Hunter Renfrow coming out. And
when Hunter said something, I kind of he don't say anything.
No, and you could feel it. Like you could feel it just watching the players on the sidelines and the energy they played with today on the field. We hadn't seen that all year. And it's got to be hard because I'm sure Josh McDaniels was sitting there saying, "Hey, I won six Super Bowls or whatever it is. You guys aren't executing. You guys aren't doing this. You guys." And he never took any accountability. And I can't imagine going through a year and a half when you had a playoff team and he ran everyone out to bring in his guys, which is funny because Antonio Pierce was able to win with his guys, but Josh McDaniels couldn't. And just going to work every day and having them sit there and berate you and tell you what you did wrong and blame everything on the players for a year and a half. That's gotta go old on those guys.
Yeah.
Because they know they're better than that, but their coach is not putting them in the right position. He's not coaching them up. He's not giving them the right corrections, and he's just not getting through to them. And they're probably like, screw this guy. Like, I don't care. I don't care if he's won 6 Super Bowls. I guarantee every player in that locker room was probably saying, Tom Brady has 6 Super Bowl rings. You were on the team. He's like the like back with the Bulls. I think it was Ed Neely that he was like a backup power forward. He won like 4 or 5 rings because he was playing with Michael Jordan. That doesn't mean Ed Neely was a good NBA player. He was just on the right teams at the right time.
Yeah, no question about it. I don't. It's very true. Ed Neely reference.
Didn't have that on your bingo card, did you?
Did not have that one coming. You never know. You never know what's going to come on the Put on Raiders podcast. I mean, and then I think the relatability is a big part of it too. Like being able to relate to players is huge. Like that's why this whole thing, like Josh McDaniels kind of coached the team like it was 1950. Not like he was coaching like guys who were like close to his age. Like Antonio Pierce is coaching these guys like he's close to their age, and I think the one thing, because he actually is close to their age in some cases, but I do like the fact that and I didn't realize it until the press conference, that he went back to high school to coach a team. He went to Arizona State to coach the team, and then ended up being promoted to defensive coordinator, and then went to the NFL. He went through the whole it wasn't like a nepotism thing. He went through the whole gauntlet of what you have to go through to be a head to be a coach, and he got presented with the opportunity to be a head coach. And I think good for. I mean, I think like listen, if it works out, it works out. It works out great. Like he might be in that position where like if his play callers keep making keep doing good things, he might have to replace them all the time. But that's a problem that the Steelers have all the time, and they don't, and they end up in the playoffs almost every year. So, let's have that problem, if you will, with the Raiders, if they're gonna have like their coordinators get hired other places.
Yeah, I mean, I just looked at the standings. The Raiders are 15th. They have the 15th pick right now, so they're a game out of the playoffs, basically. Not that I want to start talking the playoff worth and think this team's
Mhm.
going there, but because they have a gauntlet of a schedule coming up after they get through this Jets game. This Jets game's not going to be easy either. So
No,
I know a lot of Raiders fans are like, hey, we're going on a run. I would slow that talk. Look at the schedule. They have the Dolphins and the Chiefs coming up in two of the next three games. But then they can make some noise in the month of December. But you have to think they have to get to 10-7, would be my guess. And at this point, that means they can only lose two more games the rest of
for
the
the
way.
whole
So
year, that's hard.
um,
That's hard. That's hard.
we won't bring up the P word unless they win one of those two games against the Chiefs and or the Dolphins. They have to win one of those
If
two
they,
games
yes,
before
so
we start saying they're a serious contender.
exactly. So the schedule coming up here, you got the Jets, Dolphins, Chiefs, Vikings, Chargers, Chiefs again at the Colts, which won't be easy, and then the Broncos at home. So let's split. I think that's 100% fair. They'd have to win on Sunday. I mean, against the Jets, and then they would have to split the Dolphin Chief game. They split the Dolphins Chiefs, and then you go in to face the red hot Dobbs and the Vikings at home. I mean, geez, unbelievable that kid is having some like life right now. And I'm happy he got a game ball. They were actually like I think they were drawing up plays on the helmet for him, and because he didn't know the playbook, and they still found a way to win. But so good for him. But that for the Raiders, that would have to be the biggest key here. They have to do that. But like first of all, the Jets are
They got to
it's
beat
gonna
the Jets first.
they gotta be the Jets first, and it's gonna be. I think the best thing about it is it's gonna be like you're going to the game. It's gonna be cool because it's gonna be It's gonna be the atmosphere is gonna be electric, and that's what going to Vegas is about. That's what going to Allegiant Stadium is supposed to be about. Is playing meaningful games in November and December. So hopefully the Raiders are able to do that. Despite my love for them to draft a quarterback in the first round, which is still possible regardless. Still possible regardless. I'm thinking in my head, we'll see how the season ends. But right now, I can't ask two guys who are getting a chance of a lifetime to lose games on purpose, and not try to win big and not try to win games. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've talked about this for a couple of years now. They have to defend their home turf, and they're doing a good job of that. They've won
Three.
three straight home
Yeah.
games. It's the first time they've done that since they moved to Vegas. Uh, Amongst all the turmoil they've had this year and all of the bad football, they've actually won three straight home games. They have a chance to win their fourth. They have the Jets coming into town. The key to that game is they can't turn the ball over, and that Jets defense is going to be rocking and rolling. They have playmakers at every level. That defensive line is arguably one of the two or three best in the league. So if the Raiders get into some long yarded situations, you're going to see some conservative play calls where they're not going to try to drop back and push the ball down the field. And then it's going to be up to the defense. So you're going to need complementary football with a rookie quarterback where they're probably not going to take a ton of chances. And I saw a lot of people complaining on Twitter or X today about some of the play calls. It's like when you're up 24 to 27 to nothing, you're just trying to run the clock. That the goal is to get the clock to zero. It's not to score 50 points. So didn't understand some of that. I thought Hardigree called a really good game for his first game where they were able to take the lead. And they came out in the third quarter. You saw them, they were more aggressive than they thought they were going to be coming out of halftime, where they dropped back to
Yeah,
pass quite a bit
they did.
on that long field goal drive. Got held back by a couple penalties. But then once it was 27 to nothing, and I think there was like a 4th and 1, and we were texting back and forth, and he's like, go for it. I'm like, no, kick the field goal. Or it was right before halftime.
Yeah.
Kick the field goal, go up 24. You're getting the ball back. Like, don't do anything stupid. No fumbles, no pick sixes or anything. And you saw kind of the
Yeah.
Cowboys Eagles game today where the Eagles were running out the clock with 50 seconds and fumbled, and the Cowboys were able to drive all the way down and had a chance to win that game late. So you got to protect the football when you have a lead and a rookie quarterback.
No question about it. I was screaming go for it, but then they kicked the field goal. They were getting the ball at the beginning of third quarter. You're going to win the middle 8, so why risk it there? And I am a proponent of you gotta risk it for the biscuit, but in that moment, yes, up 3 scores, make it 4, make it 4 or make it 3 touchdowns with 2-point conversion. So it all makes sense. Yeah, I mean, any other impressions of what we saw on Sunday? I thought it was a really fantastic performance, and the Raiders. If they can just show the fight every week, and it doesn't even matter what the result is, kind of like the Marshawn Lynch video. If they can just continue to do that, I think that will endear their hearts to Raider Nation, and then obviously the owner.
I want to know what happened to the Raiders social media department over the last week. Like they signed up some of those clownish stuff for a year and a half, and the minute Josh and Dave are out of the building, now we're getting RWA Raiders with attitude tweets. We're getting all kinds of like
Marshawn Lynch videos,
creative stuff. That didn't come out of nowhere. Where did that video was put together fairly quickly? Was that already waiting to be?
Well, wait a minute. But that game, so that was when Too Short was at halftime, right?
Could have been
because that had to be because that was the same outfit that he had on. So I'm like,
they recorded that like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
They record that just saying, "Hey, you know what? We're hearing the rumbling, so let's just have this in the bank for the Raider Nation if it takes place." But I don't know. It's crazy, Raider Nation. All right, that's it. Well, we'll talk to you guys next time, Raider Nation. That is just
Victory Monday. So
victory,
for that. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. All right, peace.
All right.
Real quick, before you go, I just want to do like a short and just talk about the Jake Glazer thing real quick.
Okay.
That real quick before we go. And I'll just cut it up later. All right.
I got the straight out of Raider Nation sweatshirt on.
Well, I like that. I like that.
Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, the show's gonna start with him yelling Raiders. By the way, I have to. How could we not? How could no coach not do that after hearing it all through the whole stadium? It's crazy. All right.